Hello and welcome back to the newly rebranded HM Intelligence channel. Here is this week's Ukraine update. From September 3 to 10th, 2025, the war in Ukraine has intensified on multiple fronts. A staggering air assault has shaken Kiev. A tense cross-border drone incursion into NATO territory has raised alarms, and battlefield lines have shifted. So firstly, over the weekend of 7 to 8 September, Russia unleashed its largest air campaign of the war. More than 800 drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles targeted Ukraine. The attack overwhelmed air defences. Only a fraction were intercepted. For the first time, the Ukrainian cabinet building in Kiev was hit. Residential blocks were destroyed and at least 4 civilians died, including a mother and her infant. This was assessed to be a show of force designed to try and break the morale and test Western resolve. Russia's strategy appears to be clear: saturation, speed, and coercion. Meanwhile, Ukraine has been striking back with its own drones. In August alone, Ukraine has destroyed nearly 70,000 Russian targets. Both sides now clearly see drones as the centerpiece to their strategy. To put it into perspective, earlier this year, Russian drone strikes averaged around 120 a day. Between May and August, this rose to 185 a day. Next, on the ground, Russia has made a push towards Pskov and Donetsk Oblast. New combat units were committed to the fight. At the same time, Moscow accelerated efforts to indoctrinate youth in occupied areas, showing that the Kremlin is thinking long-term. Ukraine, meanwhile, struck deep inside Crimea. Flamingo cruise missiles hit Russian intelligence facilities, using these precision strikes to show that Ukraine can hit targets behind enemy lines. And the most alarming development came on the night of September 9 to 10. At least 19 drones crossed into Polish airspace. Some came from Belarus and others from Russian territory. Poland scrambled into action, bringing out F-16s, Dutch F-35s, Italian AWACS and German Patriot systems to engage the intruders. At least 8 drones were shot down. Airports in Warsaw and other cities across the country were closed. This was the first time that a NATO state has fired at a Russian drone during the war. In response, Poland invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty that triggered emergency consultations across the alliance. Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that this is the closest Europe has come to an open conflict since World War II. NATO and EU leaders condemned the violation. However, Russia denied that they were targeting Poland. Moscow claimed that the drones crossed accidentally. Western analysts, however, have called it deliberate, saying it was a test of NATO's boundaries and its resolve. The United States, the UK, Germany and Italy all voiced support for Poland. Ukraine called it further evidence of Russia's intent to escalate this conflict. The drone incident marks a dangerous turning point, and it shows how easily NATO could be dragged into this conflict. Article 4 use is rare. It signals just how serious Poland and the alliance took the breach. European leaders rallied in solidarity, calling for stronger air defences and harsher sanctions on Moscow. Ukraine, meanwhile, renewed pleas for more air defences. President Zelensky urged the West to accelerate deliveries. So, what's the outlook? Drone warfare is almost certain to continue to dominate this conflict. Expect more saturation strikes, expect more electronic tricks and countermeasures, and expect both Russia and Ukraine to push their drone fleets even further. The risk of escalation is very real. If NATO territories are violated again, the response could possibly be stronger. Article 4 consultations may become more common, but a slide towards Article 5 is highly unlikely, but could never be ruled out. Western unity is held so far, but slow aid deliveries and political fatigue could strain this unity. On the battlefield, Pskov remains a flashpoint. Ukraine's deep strikes into Crimea could destabilize Russian command structures. However, they're unlikely to change the situation on the battlefield significantly. So, that's a wrap for this week's update. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you always know when we're posting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. See you!